Hi, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I am Reiki Terry reviewing Somewhere Under the Rainbow
By
Ticklebear Games.
By Ticklebear Games. And that's a great name, by the way, and an even better company little graphic. That is delightful. Not the game, it's just the logo for the company. But either way, Somewhere Under the Rainbow. So Somewhere Under the Rainbow is going to be a game where, and bear with me here, you're going to be collecting unicorn poop in an ever-evolving cycle of life to feed the unicorns. You're going to be, well, we'll go through the turn structure shortly. The general idea is you're collecting unicorn poop, you're composing different food cards with ingredients and all that. I know you can't stop. We're going to be composing different food cards, all in order to get as many tasty points as possible. The general idea of tasty points is going to come from having composed various foods. When you combine different ingredients, we'll come back to that shortly, you'll get a variable number of tasty points, and then at the end of the game, you'll also get bonus points for different colors, depending on how many colors of a type were collected by the rainbow. On your turn,
you either collect unicorn poop, which means you advance yours. It only goes in a certain direction. Or you trade in unicorn poop.
You collect it. Go ahead and collect
it with the little plunger.
Yep, they have a plunger, which is both helpful and also strangely and sadly thematic.
Yes, it is.
Then you orient your bee in whatever direction you want.
Yep.
And then alternatively, I'll go ahead and take a turn. Let's say I'll go ahead and grab that one, and we'll go ahead and take that. Yep. And then I will keep going that direction. I'm going to put this down over here, and then it's your turn.
Yeah. Or you can visit the market, which is when you cash in glitter cubes for the rainbow maker, use your glitter cubes to buy ingredients, or make a tasty treat.
Let's go ahead and show an example. So if you go ahead and cash in those three, you have 3 of a kind. 3 of a kind is going to be 5 glitter cubes, but you also have the bonus honey one, which means you're going to get a total of 8 glitter cubes. And then from there, you can spend those glitter cubes on a variety of different things. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 glitter cubes that you can now spend on a variety of things. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So I cashed in 1 honey, which gives me 3 glitter cubes.
Yep.
And then I cashed in 3 glitter cubes. 3
blue.
So I have 8. So I get 8. Do I have 8? Yes. So now I am going to see, can I buy something? Yeah, I can. How many things can you buy?
You can buy as many things as you want.
Well, I'm going to buy these.
Those 2 over there. Perfect. Okay.
And then I'm going to.
So your second option, your first option is trading in your poop for cubes, and then your second action is buying ingredients in the market, and your third action is going to be
baking something.
Baking. Now again, you're not limited to 3 actions. Those are just the 3 different actions you can take when going to the market.
So I cash these in.
So she combined these 2 ingredients over here, which you can see over there, match up to the card, and now she's just made these delightful little cupcakes or tarts or something.
No, I think those are. What are those? I think they are
tartlets.
No, I think they're. I don't remember what the thing's called.
Either way, that's basically going to be the turn structure of the game. You're going to rinse and repeat as you go through the game. Few small other things to be aware of. So, for instance, the first food created will get an extra point, and that will be true for the first 3 foods created. You can buy milk, and milk is important because, in general, you have a color wheel you have to be mindful of. The color wheel determines what the unicorn's currently eating because it's very sensitive. So the first color could be whatever you want, but then from there it has to be the same color or something adjacent to it on the color wheel. Now the benefit of milk, which will cost 4 glitter cubes, is that milk will reset the color wheel. It's a palette cleanser, as it were. So that's going to be helpful in that sense. Additionally, you're going to have these various item cards you can spend 1 glitter cube of each color for. These are going to give you a variety of different effects, any number of different types of effects, from ignoring certain movement restrictions on the board, to getting a discount of color cubes, different types of things, ignoring the color restriction, a variety of different wild effects you can go through. Past that, it's also worth noting, you can't trade in any tokens, any poop, that isn't of the color in the thingy, meaning that isn't there already. So for instance, right now, blue, orange, and green would be off limits. You have to collect other colors to trade them in for glitter cubes. Whenever you get the full cycle of 6 colors, you're going to go ahead and dump them all into the center pot, and then advance the dial, and then that's going to also be the determining factor of how many. The more you have of a color, the more that particular food will be worth points at the end of the game. That's going to be 95% of the game. You're going to go ahead and take an action, move around the board, take a poop token, add it to your board, go back, take another action, continue gathering poop tokens until you have enough poop tokens to go ahead and go to the market and trade them all in and spend those glitter cubes on everything else you want in this game. Anything I missed? Nope. Cool. So, a few other things in terms of movement restrictions we haven't really talked. That we had talked about those already.
Oh, we did?
I did. Yeah, I did. I did go through those. So let's go ahead and dive into the review part of the game. What we liked, didn't like, and can see others not liking. And so, Ricky, starting off the bat, what do you like about the game?
Well, I like how you're feeding the unicorn. I like how it's a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
I also like how you're making foods.
Sure.
And the art is cute. And the plungers. I love the little plungers.
Yeah, the components are top notch here. And this is a prototype, by the way. It's worth noting this is a prototype. This is going to be a game on Kickstarter. We'll have a link down below. But while very much being a prototype, the components I'm seeing here are absolutely incredible to the point that I'm worried the prototype might be the best version of the game. Meaning, you have these adorable little plungers, which, like I said, are thematic as well as useful. You have these beautiful acrylic tiles, which if you temporarily ignore for a second that they're poop, they're beautiful tiles that are just, I mean, they're just fun. They're pretty. They have a little marble swirl on them. Beautiful production value.
And one's glittery.
The acrylic standees are, again, amazing. Solid job on these standees. They're not like cheap plastic. They're solid acrylic standees. The art is fun. The little tiles, the towers are fun. This needs to be worked on a drop in the sense that there's just enough room in it that sometimes when you try to drop a stack of, let's say, 3 in there at once, sometimes they'll jam up. Now, right now, you have to drop in. So you can see that can happen if you drop in a few at once. If you drop in one at a time, it always works. That might be a prototype issue. It might not. You see, you can always shake it when it's one at a time, although the ones below it are already caught. But that's something that might be cleaned up in a prototype. In the final production copy, I don't know. But overall, for a prototype, this is insanely good quality. And something I can't wait to show you. Rix, you want to go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead and grab these.
Absolutely, yes.
This is going to be one of the things you might worry about in this game is going to be the setup time of the game. Because you have these tiles, all of which go 3 deep, and you're going to be trying to, let's go ahead and dump them in here. You have all these tiles that go 3 deep in here, and you have to get them into here, which might seem like a lot of work, because that would be a lot of work. It would just be tedious and frustrating, which is why it's a good thing that you don't have to do any of that. Go ahead, Rex. There's a little shaking.
Yeah, a little shaky. Can we shake?
Yeah. Basically, they have this little handy-dandy thing, which you might have to clean up a bit at the end, but you can get them all nicely sorted into that board. Generally, within 30 seconds, you can get this whole thing set up, bottom corner.
And the best part is, it's impossible to plan it out if you just shaky.
Yeah, that's another thing. You don't have any of the, well, I kind of remember that I put a yellow here and a green here. That shaky works incredibly well. It does a solid job.
It just blocks it from knowing what's underneath.
Yeah, you need to do more of a shimmy than a shake, but it works really well. 30 seconds to a minute, and you'll be all set up to go in the game. As far as anything else we like, in terms of the gameplay, I didn't talk about the gameplay, I just talked about components. Gameplay-wise, it has a fun, simple sequence of go ahead, gather a poop token, figure out which the optimization of trying to, part of the game that the balance and the struggle is trying to figure out how to move around the board in a way you can actually get all the tokens you want, because your bees have certain directions they need to go in. They're blocked by other bees as well. There are also height restrictions in terms of how you can travel, so you're trying to figure out how you can most efficiently travel from one location to another, planning not just your next turn, but like 3 turns out. Like, if I want a bunch of yellows, I could try to go down there, but I'll get 2 of them. I may get turned back along the way. Can I get more than 2? That straight line actually looks a little easier than it's not actually that easy because of the nature of the way your bees turn. So yeah, exactly. So you hop from one to the next, and then you're capped out. You can't get any more. You're done. You can't rotate it. It's got this weird little thing in terms of the way the arrow works and the way you can actually end up landing that can be a bit frustrating in terms of trying to get things, but you are planning out the way you need to get stuff on that board.
Yeah, but I kind of like it because it makes the game a lot more restricted.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like I'm just bouncing around and it's really easy. Because I actually have to plan it out. Like, how can I get this? Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
Like, you have to actually plan it out. Can't believe there's so many L's in one spot.
Yes.
Blue, and blue, red, blue, red, blue, red.
That's the random nature of things. You shuffle them up, shimmy it around, and you'll get what you get. But yeah, that's going to basically be the main sequence there. So then past that, once you gather the poop tokens, you're turning them in for other things. So you gather ingredients, you turn them in for various food cards, you gather some of these special cards, and that's basically the cycle of life as you turn poop into food so you can feed the unicorn, which will then poop, and you turn the poop into food. This is a bunch of words that I never really thought I'd be saying in a video. As far as things you didn't like, Anything you didn't like?
Well, I don't really like how you can only hold 2 things. So you'll basically have to wait until one that has your matching wart comes out. And I also don't like how how one person can get multiple of these. So you're not like, oh, I'm safe, I can still get one. So you play a game, it's like, no, if you don't go fast enough, you can't get one.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah, it's annoying. I also don't like how you can have 2.
You just said that.
Yeah, I know. I just
For myself, there's going to be a few things I don't love with the game. To begin with, I mean, the components, everything else, all amazing. To begin with, the theme doesn't do it for me. The art's great, and I liked the art and theme a lot more before I realized what it was I was doing in the game. I'm not someone that particularly enjoys or resonates with poop jokes, and so I mean, again, might work for you, but for me, the theme is a turn-off, personally. In terms of other things, gameplay more related. To begin with, the game is going to be very light on the sequential of what you do. Most of the decision space is going to be around how you plan out your movement on this board. Once you've done that, it's really just whatever the market provides, for the most part, with a minimal, not none, but minimal amount of decision-making around it. I also don't love that the game kind of forces you, it's thematic and it works, but the game kind of forces you into going for certain colors based on how this fills up. Which means your first round, you have an actual choice, but then as this starts filling up, you're like, well, I kind of have to plan around getting green, because it's only green or red left now, and so I'm going to do what I'm going to do. It kind of locks you even to a more restrictive decision-making and less options on the table. So I don't love that. And then lastly, I would say I don't love how many of these cards vary drastically in how good they are. There are some that are really helpful. And then there are some that are just mean and feel like a waste. Like, reorienting someone else in the other direction doesn't feel like a good turn for me or for them. And then there's like ones that will cost you 3. They'll cost you 1, 2, 3, and they'll give you a discount of 1 on a food. So some of these are great, don't get me wrong. But I don't love the inconsistency in terms of how good those cards are or aren't in terms of the overall game engine. In terms of what you can see others not liking, anything else?
I think that game looks a little overcomplicated, but I'm fine with that because I play games that look more complicated than they are a lot. But I feel like people that don't really play big games as much might be very, very, very overwhelmed by how many different things that happen in the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Fair enough. For myself, as far as what I can see others not liking, the main thing I'd caution is this is a lightweight game. It is on the lighter sense of decision-making. Like you said, it's kind of in a weird place. It's a drop more complicated than a kids game, compared to, well, any lighter kids games, but it's a drop lighter than you might otherwise expect. So it falls into the range where I think it's suitable for older kids, not younger kids, not necessarily as much for adults, but for older kids, I think this is the range this one is hitting in. As far as final thoughts and rating.
Well, my rating I would say is a 3 because it's a cute game and I like it, but it's not really something I would pull out.
Yeah.
I don't want to pull out that often.
Cool. For me, this is one I'm willing to play if Ricky requests it, if someone in the family requests it. I think the production value is top-notch. If it weren't for the theme being a personal put-off for me, this would probably be a 3 out of 5. As it is, it's a game that's, decent, has a decent amount of decision-making skills, but not a ton. It's lightweight, it's good for kids. The theme is just puts it in a place where I'm not personally requesting it for myself, but I'm still willing to play it if my kids ask. But again, production value, gameplay, sequential, all that stuff falls into a solid older age kids game. And that's basically it. That's going to be our review of Somewhere Under the Rainbow by Tickle Bear Games on Kickstarter or shortly on Kickstarter. We'll have a link down below. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I am Ricky.
And have a good one.